how you set your goals determines how you feel while you pursue them. This is a concept that I didn't understand until more recently because there are two types of setting goals, actually. One way is to set goals out of inspiration, and the other way is to set goals out of desperation. Whichever one you choose to set goals from will determine your emotional state as you go through it. It will either be a very miserable, strenuous, stressful experience, and that's a goal created from desperation, or it can be fun, it could be exciting, it can invoke curiosity, and peace, love, and abundance. And that's a goal created from inspiration. So the way that I've figured out how we create goals out of desperation is actually by default. Most of us grew up conditioned to create goals out of this way because we need money, we need love, we need approval from other people, we need status, or we need perceived safety by acquiring things or anything like that. That usually comes from desperation, and that is rooted in survival. It's rooted in fear. And that's why when we're pursuing these types of goals, let's say it is for money solely, and that's the main purpose of what we're doing, it will be stressful. It will cause a lot of anxiety. It will make us feel a lot of lack within us, because by saying that we need money, we're saying that it's not just about the money, it's what we think the money will do for us. We never really want money just for money. So take a look behind why you want money specifically. What do you want to do with it? And more specifically, when you buy that thing that you think you want or acquire that thing that you desire, what kind of feeling are you hoping to get out of that? And that is actually what we're trying to optimize for. That's the real reason for that specific goal. But let's say that we want money to feel safe. That means we don't feel safe within us. We don't feel safe within our own minds, and we're probably judging ourselves all of the time. Or if we want safety, or let's say we want security, we want freedom, right? That's because we don't have freedom from our own minds. And so taking a look at why we set our goals is even more important than what goals we set, because then we can redirect that specific intention to something else, something that's not rooted in fear, something that's not rooted in lack. So that is a goal created out of desperation. It's a very, very heavy weight on our shoulders whenever we're pursuing it. And we start to prioritize and put more weight on the end goal than getting to the goal. This is when the destination becomes more important than the journey. And when we do this, the entire journey becomes miserable. We don't like it. We start to resent it. We hate it. We just clock in, and basically we don't want anything to do with it. And when I was going through that and setting goals out of desperation, I really did not enjoy living life. Everything became quite heavy. And when we flip it on its head, though, and reverse the desperation into inspiration, this is when the journey becomes more important and more enjoyable than the actual destination. Destination is a byproduct of enjoying the journey. I forgot who said this quote, but the quote says, "The person who loves walking will always go further than the person who only enjoys the destination." And that's so true. And so the key is to fall in love with the actual thing you're doing when you're getting to that goal than the goal itself. That you must love that thing more. And that actually must be the sole reason, or the main reason, not only the sole reason, but the main reason why you want to do something. And this is when we are doing something just for the sake of doing it, just because it's fun, just because we're doing it out of love and not for love or for money or for an ulterior motive. And the universe, people, everybody always knows whenever we're doing something for another motive. But any person that's doing something out of pure intention, out of just pure love of doing it, you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in the way they move. You can feel it in their presence. And that is infectious. And that is how you can attract abundance, as opposed to feeling like you need to claw your way to get to whatever you want in life. So, for instance, a goal out of desperation would just look like, I want to get a promotion so I can get more money, so I can have more status, or get a new car. That's usually out of desperation, so that we can feel enough, so we can feel love, so we can feel safe and secure after we get that money. A goal out of inspiration would look like, I just want to create. I want to sew, I want to knit, I want to write a book, I want to do any sort of these things just because I want to do it. And it's interesting because the action can even be the same. So it's, for example, someone can want to write a book, but then they want to make a lot of money out of it. That money out of it is the actual end goal. And doing it mainly for that purpose will compromise the integrity of the book being written. And that's why when I set the goal to write my book, it was out of inspiration, not desperation. I didn't write the book to make a lot of money or to have a lot of status or fame or whatever it was. Yes, it eventually led to that. And now I can live a life where I can write books and live off of them. But that wasn't the main purpose of them. I wrote the book because I genuinely wanted to write it. I wanted to share my own truth with the world, to express myself and to see what happens. And the more open we leave the intention in terms of what we might get out of it, the more can actually come in. If I say that I only want to write a book for this specific purpose, then I'm confining myself to that specific goal and nothing else really has room to come in. But if I say I just want to write a book and see what happens, and the main intention and goal is to just write the thing because it's fun and I want to express myself in that way, then it creates space for infinite possibilities and infinite things to be able to come in. And that's the key. When we're creating goals out of desperation, we're very, very fixated on that specific thing. And that's all we're going to get, or we're not even going to get it at all because it's so painful to get to it. So if we're only looking for money, we're only going to try to focus on that. And there's not much more that can come into our lives. If we're focusing on money, it's very rare that happiness is going to have room in there. It's very rare that love's going to have room in there. It's very rare that any other thing is going to have room. But when we do things out of love, then love creates more love. It creates even more space. It creates even more abundance. And that's what we want to do. Fear minimizes us and keeps us locked in, confined, and limited. Love is what expands and grows. And that's what nature does all the time. And so we want to emulate nature in that regards. So take a look at what your goals are. Are they created out of inspiration or desperation? And you can immediately tell what goal is which based on how you feel when you're thinking about that specific goal. Does it feel expansive, unknown, and aligned with you and who you truly are? Or does it feel heavy? Does it feel a little bit empty? Does it feel like there's a lot of resistance towards it? So that's how you can tell. And so use that heuristic to be able to make a decision on whether you want to change your goal or not. And the main thing is just do things without an ulterior motive. Just do it because you love doing it. Do it because you feel inspired to do it. There doesn't need to be another reason. And when there is another reason, then it compromises whatever you're doing. And it's not like saying you can't do things for money. That's not necessarily true. It's just whenever you're doing something, do it because you genuinely want to do it. And don't worry too much about what you're going to get out of it. And if you believe in the law of reciprocation, and how the universe just balances everything out, whatever you give is what you're going to get. Maybe not now, maybe not a little bit later, but it always comes back in some way, shape, or form. Do things out of love and love will come back to you. So take a look at your goals, see what happens, and I'd love to know yours.